From San Francisco, it's Grumpy Old Doc with Dr. Gene Bede.
Welcome to Grumpy Old Doc. I'm Dr. Gene Bede, your host. Certainly a lot of fascinating technology out there these days. We've talked to folks that are bringing things to life in mobile learning and interpretation apps, but there's a lot more opportunity out there for technology to improve healthcare. This weekend, I thought I'd bomb on down to Maker Faire. I thought I'd do that because Maker Faire is a lot of fun. If you've never been there, fire-breathing dragons, solar-powered cars, locksmithing, soldering classes for the kids, everything you could not possibly ever imagine. I was going down there hoping to find some disruptive technology as applied to the healthcare setting. But it's kind of difficult. It's a challenging environment to be a maker and doing homegrown medical devices. The FDA regulates that stuff pretty strictly under a regulation that is over 3 decades old. So if you're going to make something that punctures the skin, good luck, guys. Chances are the FDA is going to want to approve your prototype. Nevertheless, I did see a couple of interesting things in the displays. There was a 15-year-old girl who's made a 3D printed spirometer based on her own experiences treating her own asthma. But without too much inside the tent, I went outside. I asked the people as they were coming into Maker Faire, what sort of technology would they like to see being applied to their doctor's office? Here's what they said. So we're here at Maker Faire, and we're asking people the question, what sort of tech would they like to see being used in their doctor's office? And now I'm talking to...
My name is Britta, and I'm from San Francisco.
Okay, Britta, can you tell us a little bit what you'd like to see when you go visit the doctor?
Well, I would really like to be able to make the appointments online and maybe get an automatic reminder, like with a dentist every 6 months. But it would be really easy if it were just like an automatic, okay, it's time to go to the dentist, make your appointment. Click here to make your appointment. It's time for your annual checkup at the doctor. Click here to make your appointment.
Yeah, my wife gets that when she gets her nails done. It seems like my internist ought to be able to do that as well. Well, thank you so much. Today we're talking to...
Sean.
And where are you from, Sean?
San Jose, California.
San Jose. And the question we're asking the people that are going into Maker Faire is, when you go to the doctor, what sort of technology would you like to see them using?
First item is I would like to see each one using an electronic entry system, such as a pad, where we can enter our data, and also shareable data, meaning every doctor has access to the same database of information.
Does your doctor use a computerized patient record right now?
Some of them do, and some of them don't.
And you feel it's a better experience and better medicine when they do?
Especially if the doctors are all sharing off the same database, so then they have all of the same exact information.
Yeah, some of that's aspirational these days and not yet operational, the sharing part at least.
Right. Believe it or not, the Veterans Administration is far ahead of the rest of the industry because they're the ones who have been doing this for a decade.
Thanks for talking to us today, Sean. So who are we talking to here?
My name's Evan from Pittsburgh.
So Evan from Pittsburgh, what would you like to see in terms of technology in your doctor's office?
Information sharing between doctors, so whether that's your different dentists or different doctors you have to pay visits to.
So you don't have to tell your story. Well, what did a cardiologist tell you when you saw him and he's trying to interpret that? Instead, by golly, he'd have the report right there.
Correct, yeah.
Thanks so much. We're talking to?
Brad from San Francisco.
Brad from San Francisco. The question we're asking people is, what sort of technology when you take your kids? Do you have twins?
No, 2 kids under 3.
Okay, when you take your 2 kids under 3, and God bless you, what would you like to see happening in the doctor's office?
I think we would just love an easy way to collect all of their health records. So some sort of EMR system where, even from these early days, we're able to keep track of their health.
Now, most of the doctors, the EMR, they see it, the patients don't see it. Are you talking about something that you'd actually be able to go into a patient record?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Something that's centralized and easily accessible for patients and parents.
Do you have that now?
We don't at the moment. So
Does your doctor use an electronic medical record?
I'm sure they do. Yeah, certainly our pediatrician does. But there's no centralized source that everyone can tap into, at least not to our knowledge. So we tend to keep track ourselves at home.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to me. So we're talking to?
Robert.
And Robert, where are you from?
San Jose.
San Jose. So Robert from San Jose, Tell us what you'd like to see in terms of technology at your doctor's office.
I'd like to see more analytics, more trend analysis of my health over time. If I'm an older person, it might be very useful.
Lab tests, imaging, physical exam, weight, all that sort of stuff.
That's correct.
Thanks so much for talking to us. So we're talking to?
Catherine.
And where are you from, Catherine?
I'm from Idaho.
Idaho. Catherine from Idaho. The question we're asking is, when you go to the doctor's office, is there some sort of technology you think they ought to be using or you wish they were using?
I would really like to see them get better at utilizing the medical record system so that the doctors didn't have to spend as much time entering information and could spend more time focusing on me.
So it's the computerized patient record that they're focusing on. They seem to be looking at the screen a lot or spending a time or complaining to you that they spend a lot of time?
Exactly. I'll be in the office and I'll be trying to talk to my doctor and they're spending the whole time entering everything I say onto the screen. And I just feel with all the advancements that we have in computer technology these days and all the great software that we have in our world, I don't understand why the medical record system is still so hard to navigate.
I think a lot of people don't understand. Thanks so much for talking with me. So we're talking to?
David.
David, where are you from, David?
Petaluma.
David from Petaluma. When you go to the doctor's office, is there any technology you wish they were using?
I love when the machine where they can just take a drop of blood and then right then and there they can have the whole CBC.
Okay, so a single drop of blood, so they're not hunting around with a needle for a quart of the stuff, and instant results that you know.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for talking to us. So today we're talking to?
Susan.
Hi, Susan. So the question we're asking people here at Maker Faire, when you go to the doctor, maybe you're not going to see Tesla coils and things like that, I hope not, but what sort of technology would you like to see at the doctor's office?
I'd like to see a blood test that wasn't invasive.
You mean like a patch or a meter or something that goes on you without sticking a needle into you?
Exactly.
You're not a big fan of needles?
He's not.
He's not a big fan of needles. My father wasn't a big... I'm not a big fan of needles as well. I don't think most people are. Thanks for talking to us. So we're talking to?
Arlene.
Arlene, where are you from, Arlene?
Los Angeles, Studio City.
Los Angeles, Studio City. Wow, they came all the way up here for Maker Faire. So Arlene from Los Angeles, Studio City. The question we're asking people is, when you go to the doctor, you take your loved one to the doctor, what sort of technology would you like to see them using?
Well, my daughter never liked when they had to look in her ear, so if they had something kind of like the new thermometers that were real quick and easy and wouldn't be...
Is it digging around in the air for they got to get a good see, or she just doesn't like the feel of the thing?
She doesn't like the feel of it.
Yeah. How about if there was something at home that you could put in her ear and send the video over to the doctor, so you could be the one instead of the doctor doing it?
Sure, she would like that probably. I imagine she'd prefer that.
Okay, so thank you very much for talking to us. So we're talking to?
Kevin.
Kevin. And where are you from, Kevin?
Boulder Creek, California.
Boulder Creek, California. So Kevin from Boulder Creek, when you go to the doctor, what sort of technology would you like to see them using?
Well, mostly there were some really interesting dental procedures, which I just don't see dentists usually using. They have things like laser sealing your teeth and things so they don't corrode up or you don't get...
Why do you think the dentists don't use those?
I don't know. They could be very expensive. They could be learning curve on them or something like that. Or
so when you go to the dentist, you want to make sure it's 2017 technology, not 1987.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for talking to us. Today we're talking to?
Jay.
And where are you from, Jay?
Palo Alto.
Okay, Jay, and the question we're asking people is that when you go to the doctor's office, is there any technology you'd like to see them using?
I'd like to see them using DNA sequencing and analysis to better characterize diseases, cancer types, things like that, tumor types.
So more personalized medicine, more genomics, proteomics, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that would be good. Yes, definitely. I think that would be helpful.
You can tell we're at Maker Faire here. We have some pretty advanced ideas. Thank you so much, Jay. We're talking to?
Kristen.
And where are you from, Kristen?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. You're the second person we've talked to from Pittsburgh this morning. We're not in Pittsburgh, folks. We're in the peninsula. So the question I'm going to ask you is, when you go to the doctor, if you had a wish list, what kind of technology would you like to see them using?
Diagnostic medical tricorder. That they could
the tricorder. So something non-invasive where they didn't have to stick a needle in you.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thanks so much. So who are we talking to?
My name is Kim.
Hi, Kim. Where are you from?
Petaluma.
Petaluma. Okay, the question we're asking people today is, what kind of technology would you like to see being used in your doctor's office?
Actually, I use Kaiser, and they use a lot of technology really well.
How do you see that? As someone who uses Kaiser, how is it obvious to you that they're using technology really well.
I can access all of my records, any labs, as soon as they come through, they're online. I can book any kind of appointment I want online. And when I go to the doctor, everybody has access to all of my files.
Very good. Sounds excellent. Thanks for talking with us today. Okay, so who are we talking to today?
It's Olga from San Ramon.
Olga from San Ramon. The question we're asking people is when you go to the doctor, and I see you have a couple of kids, so maybe when you go to the pediatrician's office, what kind of technology would you like to see them using?
Something that would reduce wait time. We're at Kaiser, it's pretty good, but wait times can be bad.
When you say wait time, do you mean while you're in the office or wait time to get an appointment?
While I'm in the office, they're pretty good with appointments.
Thank you so much for talking to us. So we're talking to?
It's Amar.
Amar. Yes. And where are you from?
I'm from Roseville, California.
From Roseville. Amar from Roseville. When you go to visit the doctor, what kind of technology would you like to see being used at the doctor's office?
Well, I would say that it would really help if we have some technology which could help the patients to save some time. Like they come there and everyone is busy these days. So if there is something which could really help them to come right on time and the doctor is available there and they don't have to wait for too long. So this could really help patients as well as save doctors' time as well.
Have you ever seen any businesses that do something similar that maybe doctors might learn from?
I haven't seen it. No, nobody's using it so far. From Canada originally, so I have seen the same problem over there also. They have a different medical system and it's way different over there. The wait times are way more than what we have in California here.
So the wait's bad here, but it's worse in Canada.
It's worse in Canada, yeah. It's because of the health system is working differently over there, right? So, but still, we still have this problem here. I have seen it most of the time. So something could really help patients and doctors to save time and get them treatment quickly.
So who are we talking to?
Fabian.
And where are you from, Fabian?
Lake Tahoe, California.
Oh, it's nice up there in Lake Tahoe. It's nice down here, too, this time of year. Fabian, can you tell us a little bit about your attending Maker Faire here? What kind of technology would you really like to see being put in place in your doctor's office?
Maybe a notice so you're not waiting in the waiting room too long. Maybe, like buzzer like they do at restaurants.
Yeah, you could sit someplace interesting and not catch something from somebody while you read 12-year-old issue of a magazine. Anything else, Fabian?
I think that's the biggest thing that we kind of deal with.
And it's so simple, and if they fixed it, boy, we'd be happy, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we'd be really happy.
Okay, thanks for talking to us. What did I hear? I heard three main themes. Number one, non-invasive testing. People do not like needles. They do not like to be poked and prodded and have their various body orifices inspected by a doctor. They would really like non-invasive testing. Actually, inside Maker Faire, there was a group of engineers from the Kuwait Foundation for the Advancement of Sciences that had a non-invasive diabetic wound detector. So there are movements in that direction. Number two, electronic medical records, information systems. People like the idea of electronic ordering. They like the idea of an accurate, up-to-date electronic medical record. They really wish they had access to the data in there. They really wish all the doctors accessed a common data repository. And they really don't like it when the doctor is distracted by the medical record or using it consumes so much of the doctor's time that little is left for the patient. And finally, people do not like to wait. They do not like to wait in a restaurant. They do not like to wait in a doctor's office. But restaurants have figured out ways to deal with it. Doctors' offices, we just came up with a whole room to wait in. We call it the waiting room. Well, it's time to figure out ways to empty out the waiting room. Upcoming shows, I hope to explore some of these technology issues that are important to you and probably some additional technology issues as well. One of the things I learn every time I interview people is that some folks don't answer the question precisely that I ask. Instead, they answer a question that perhaps I should have asked. I'm going to leave you with these last two interviews from Maker Faire. Who are we talking to?
Rachel from
From Sacramento. And Rachel, the question we're asking people at Maker Faire with all this amazing technology, is there any amazing or not so amazing technology that you wish you were seeing when you went to the doctor's office?
More brains.
More brains. So you like smart doctors with high IQs?
No, because those are the ones that care more about the books and getting you in and out and your money instead of actually listening to what they think is wrong.
Doctors that are focused on getting you in and out, billing it properly, rather than